Hey everyone, on today's episode of The Tools We Use, we're talking about one of the biggest websites that any sysadmin I know uses for network outage updates, cloud service outage updates, which kind of patches are going to break my systems this month. That's right, you love it or you hate it, it's Reddit. So I do know though, I mean, Reddit gets a lot of good and bad press, and I understand why. There are quite a few Reddit communities that are not very beneficial. But the sysadmin communities are actually really handy. Our sysadmin is probably my landing page every morning. I read about, a lot of times it's a lot of rants, which you can filter out. But there are good things in here like, hey, it's Patch Tuesday mega thread. What happened to the patches? Did anybody have any problems with anything? This is where you learn all about the patches that are going to break your products, basically. Sysadmin has a ton of good advice columns. You can ask questions in here as long as it pertains to work and things like that and actual sysadmin stuff. This is where a lot of people get career advice, talking about, hey, how do I do this? Or I have to deal with a new manager. How do I handle this? What about 2FA, security, LDAP-LS, and cell sign? I mean, like everything in here. Sysadmin is fantastic. The next one I've got on here is VMware. Since we're using ESXi and I'm very familiar with it, I live in our VMware, especially because sometimes VMware support is less than quick to get you an answer, but somebody in here has probably had the same issue you've dealt with before. So depending on what kind of hardware you're running, they'll help you out. Depending on what type of VMware licensing, they'll help you out. There are usually VMware people in here too. So if they happen to see your question, they might say, hey, what's your ticket number? Hook them up. Let them know your ticket number so they can also check your logs and things like that. Great tips and tricks and tutorials in here as well for VMware. This one you might not know about very much if you're just looking to get into sysadmining, but this is the high performance computing subreddit. It's not as active as I wish it was. This is my primary duty at my current employment. Is I manage high performance computing for research faculty, basically clustering like Beowulf clustering, GPU clustering, any sort of big data crunching. This is where we kind of get together and talk about our software and our setups and our configurations, which are a little different than regular sysadmin configuration. Our data center is really cool for not just the equipment, but air handling, power concerns, disaster recovery, business continuity type stuff, getting your electrical set right, getting any sort of like security systems and things of that nature. There's a lot of questions in here about stuff for people that just want to be, I don't know, not a gear monkey. That's a weird term for it, but they're a person that just goes in, puts the hardware in, wires it up, and gets it all nice and clean, and then they're done. They just manage getting the iron into the system, into the building, into the racks, get it hooked up so that sysadmins, DevOps people can get into those systems and then do their job. There's usually a lot of questions about, hey, I want to work at Google or I want to work at AWS's data center. There's a lot of good stuff about that. Sometimes they talk about new equipment like different UPSs or different air handlers, things like that. It's a little bit away from the normal IT stuff. But depending on what kind of data center environment you're working in, you'll probably be the one doing this stuff. You probably won't have people doing this for you. So it's good to kind of know what the real big guys are doing so you can kind of adjust and balance when you're doing stuff in your data center. Data storage and our storage. So this is talking about EMC stuff, NetApp stuff, vSAN, any sort of protocol. If you want to do iSCSI, NFS, all that stuff is in here. This is like enterprise grade stuff. So there's not going to be as much talk about things like TrueNAS or OpenNAS or any of those kind of systems. If you want kind of the lower end type of stuff, our home lab is the place to go for that stuff. And I mean lower end in that it's smaller scale. This is big scale enterprise stuff. Enterprise networking, again, big scale stuff. We're talking the big Cisco, Juniper, Arista, Fortinet, all of that. I'm a big fan of Arista and I'm a big fan of Cisco. I'm getting there with Fortinet, but and I've never touched Juniper. So I love Arista gear. It just works. I wish I had some here. But they'll cover all this kind of stuff, VPNs, which kind of links you need to use, how you should lay out your OSPF, how you should do your VLANs, how you should handle your Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a big deal, especially in places like where I work, because most people are carrying 3 to 4 devices on them at any one given time, and they've set them to auto connect to our Wi-Fi. So a 30-person classroom becomes a 90 device classroom that needs practically 2 APs, or else we get yelled at because we didn't offer the bandwidth that they needed. But really, if somebody had just not used their phone and laptop and tablet at the same time, it would be fine. Our outages is a really cool place that I kind of just learned about. Lots of information about systems that are down. Of course, you can also go to Down Detector, covers the same thing. But, you know, if you have this added, you might see something on your front page when you get up in the morning and go, oh, that's out. Obviously, our Linux, I'm going to have that in here. This is the real generic one that just covers stuff about Linux. It's not a support form, as they say right here. It's just info about different packages, different kernels, different distros, you know, stuff like that. If you want to learn more about Linux, I highly recommend Linux for Noobs. This is a really cool one. It's a great place to, one, learn new skills yourself and help others get better, which will help you get better because then you're consistently practicing your Linux skills more. I work with quite a few sysadmins in my life that are very comfortable in Windows and not so comfortable in Linux. I started in Linux, so I'm not as comfortable in Windows a lot of the times. But this is a great place to go to kind of brush up on your skills. And I believe I even have, I do have it. We'll get to it in a second. We'll do it next. Linux Skill Up Challenge. This is a really cool new subreddit I found. If you want to practice building up your Linux sysadmin skills, go to this subreddit. They have a Discord as well. And it starts on the first Monday of each month and goes for, I think, 28 days. At the beginning of each month, there will be a post outlining how to set yourself up with a cheap free Linux server for the month. Each weekday of the month, a new lesson from the Linux Upskill Challenge will be posted as a sticky. Discuss the question and comment as you wish. If you find an issue with the notes, mistakes, typos, you can raise it against the GitHub repo. So see, they use a GitHub repo for their thing. Very cool. I'm hoping to help out with this in the future. I kind of think this might be a place where the Desk to Data Center series can grow and maybe host some more free Linux servers for people to be able to create their servers without having to go to Google Cloud Platform or go to Azure or go to AWS, you know, but they can do it, or, you know, doing your own local server, things of that nature. It does focus on Ubuntu the last time I checked, but they try to keep it pretty distro agnostic. So as you're learning, you'll learn as you go, and those skills can be applied to other distributions. Linux Admin is much more of a bigger Linux sysadmin knowledge base. They do help, and they will take questions and do support stuff. So they're pretty cool. You know, not much to say there other than it's awesome. And then of course our Rocky Linux, because that's the distro I'm using. So yeah, this is the subreddits I focus on for work-related stuff. Again, I know there's a ton of subreddits out there that are not for work and they aren't safe for work. So don't go to those while you're at work. Pretty simple. That is a tool that we use. I don't know a single sysadmin, again, I'll say this again, that doesn't use Reddit in some form or fashion. And I know quite a few that if the internet is out, they're not working for a while that day, because usually what you end up doing is hitting a problem and then going, Google, help me, and then Google will send you to Reddit, because 9 times out of 10, somebody on Reddit has had the same problem as you. And if your internet's out, you ain't got no Google, so you're not going to check that way, and you can't get the Reddit. You can't check that way. So Reddit is definitely a tool we use. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what subreddits you use to do your sysadmining or your IT work. If you're not a sysadmin yet, but you want to be. And share those in the comments when you like and subscribe, so that we can add them to a list in the video description, so that everyone can kind of combine forces essentially, and you can build all of these subreddits together into a big hub, and you can review all that data every morning so that you get better at your job. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.